My grandmother died from cancer. My mother and grandfather prayed for her, but no help came. She died in 2006. God did nothing to help her, not with her pain, not with anything.
I was a teenager when I started having serious questions and concerns about my church and my beliefs.
Somebody asked me, "Do you believe in God?" And I said, actually, no.
Being a Christian country, we have what's called Christianity classes in school. I don't recall anybody telling me that this is just a theory and this is just so you know why we are calling ourselves Christians. I still didn't get an alternative, so what was I to believe?
I thought that if I could see just one thing that was supernatural, then maybe the belief in God and Jesus were justified all along.
Well, I was raised Christian. I was Christian pretty much all my life.
My father started taking these classes at the church called the Truth Project. It's all about proving God's existence and Jesus loves you and blah 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 blah. First of all, he's always believed in evolution, and once he was done taking these classes, he didn't believe in evolution anymore. He was like slandering Darwin, and that just blew my mind. How the church convinced this smart guy that evolution was not real.
Then came a time when I was a teenager, and I sort of started to ask questions, the classic, why has this happened? And, being a bit skeptical about what I had been taught, which was difficult because you don't want him to hear it.
Children are dying every day in Africa or anywhere else in the world from starvation. But no help ever comes, no matter how much they pray and no matter how much faith they have.
I didn't worry too much at first because I thought that my pastor and my fellow Christians would have satisfactory answers to all of those concerns. But as time passed, it became apparent to me that they didn't have any answers at all.
The origins of things, Adam and Eve, for example, I was always taught that it was true, but whenever I asked a question, I wasn't answered.
One sunny Saturday afternoon, I sat down with my Bible and decided I was going to read it from cover to cover.
I hadn't read the entire Bible cover to cover straight through before, and that kind of troubled me. And so I decided to read the Bible.
Somewhere in the middle of the Old Testament, exactly where I don't recall, I put my Bible aside and I said to myself, you know what? God's a monster.
I remember distinctly praying to God, asking him to guide my interpretation and to give me the interpretation that he wants me to get from it.
God is an arrogant and completely selfish being. This is why I became an atheist.
And so I started reading in Genesis, and by the time I finished it, I was an atheist.
I became an atheist just after high school. I sort of thought I believed all through, but never really did. And it wasn't until after high school that I was introduced to books by Dawkins, Hitchens, Harris, and all those kinds of people that I actually realized I was an atheist all along.
And I saw this little white book with a big red splasher across it. And, that was The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. And I read it.
It all started when I was searching some just random YouTube videos, and I came across one called How to Argue with a Creationist. From there, I actually went and I watched some of the YouTube videos from creationists and from their channel. And on their channel, there were a couple hate videos about certain atheists on YouTube. And I decided to write down their names and check them out for myself. And one of the names I wrote down was Thunderfoot.
I think it was on page 50 or something like that. I got the concept of there's no Christian children, there's only children of Christian parents.
And after a lot of reflection, I realized that I had been an atheist for a long time, and that I no longer held any beliefs in any personal god or gods.
Even as a young child, I had a hard time swallowing the things that were being presented by Christians. It required a huge leap of faith that didn't make sense.
Searching for atheism is not what led me to atheism. Searching for the truth is what led me to atheism.
What I did not realize was that I was letting myself in for a possible argument with nearly everyone I met in life.
And when I expressed my opinion that was, I do not believe in God, I don't take the word of the Bible as true, my parents told me not to express my opinion.
It's sometimes not easy. I've lost some friends.
I went through a lot of emotions. I was angry at my parents.
You know, if you tell your best friend you're an atheist, and they drop you, you learn something about that person.
Unfortunately, I can't be so open about my atheism in my civilian job. I'm a teacher.
And the fact that the most religious people I knew were not the nicest people I knew, in fact, often the opposite. And how it sounded like everyone was just afraid of God and afraid of dying.
For me, it was all about challenging myself to accept reality, to accept the harshness of it. There's no magical kingdom waiting for you when you die.
In the end, it sort of gave me a drive. It made me want to get out there and speak my opinion and try and save the world from this madness.
I didn't believe and I didn't have to believe, and it sort of freed me up to start not caring about the religious side anymore.
I'm an atheist, or I don't believe in God. They can be some of the hardest words you'll ever say for the first time.
In the past, I felt like I was completely alone as an atheist because it's very difficult to find other atheists out there, but you can find them.
You're not the only person who looks at things rationally.
My brother, my friends, I found some of them were also atheists, although I didn't know it.
Just be honest with yourself.
When you don't have a religious belief tying you down, you don't have to take what you learn and try to morph it around this belief. You can learn everything you want about everything you want and draw your own conclusions.
Don't panic. It's going to be okay. In fact, it's going to be liberating, refreshing. You're going to see a whole world of possibilities that were never open to you before.